Okay, I think we're live, guys. Are
You're?
we ready?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a cool animation. Awesome! Welcome, everybody, to another Home Assistant release party. Today we are talking about Home Assistant 2021.10, or the October release. Um, my name is Paulus Schoutse. I'm the founder of Home Assistant. Frank?
Hi, I'm Frank. I'm working on Home Assistant as well, like everywhere. I know I write the release notes thingies, and well, yeah. Sorry, I didn't incorporate on answering that. I'm back again, by the way. Hi.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
I'm Bram. I'm a front-end engineer, so mainly work on the front end of Home Assistant.
And then today we're joined by some people from Tuya. Tuya is a um, Chinese firm making a lot of smart home gadgets that are sold worldwide. And in this release, we have an official Tuya integration built by Tuya. And they're joining to talk about a bit about the integration, all the cool stuff that's possible now. And so, yeah, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So this is Song from Tuya, and I'm responsible for the platform as a service and developer business development.
I'm
Hi,
Thomas
everyone.
from Tuya. I'm on the same team with Song, where we're working on business development for the developer community.
And Oliver.
Oliver, you want to
Hi,
introduce
everyone.
yourself?
Yeah, so this is Oliver. So I'm the product manager for Tuya Smart, and I'm now working on the Home Assistant integration product in Tuya.
Awesome. And Oliver, where are you based?
Oh, I'm based in Hangzhou, China.
Nice.
And,
So it's at midnight, right?
Yeah, midnight. Yeah.
yeah, I'm based in Shenzhen, and also it's same time zone as Oliver, and now it's 3 a.m.
Whew.
But
Well,
we really, yeah, but we're really excited to join this talk with the Home Assistant team, and also have like this chance to face to face with the developers in the Home Assistant community. So that even though it's middle night, but we're very excited to join. Yeah.
that's awesome. You know, I find it really cool. I mean, we've been talking for a couple of months now, trying to like work this out, coordinate, and work on it. And it's been, I've obviously talked to other companies before, but like Tuya is the first one that really followed through from like, we want to do this and actually doing this. So I'm really stoked that like it's live and like people can start using it. So that's really cool. So
Yeah.
what do we, Oliver, you wanna show like a demo of how it works? Talk a bit about the new integration?
Yeah, sure. I'll share a presentation now.
Sure, do it. In the mean, so the agenda for today is that we're first going to talk about Tuya right now, with Tuya, and later on we're going to go through all the other new things in Home Assistant. So we're going to talk about the new stuff in ZWFGS, the new material icons, the new template warnings, among other things, and all that stuff. So we'll definitely like. It's not just going to be Tuya today, although we could probably fill 2 hours around it, but we won't. Uh,
Yes. I'm sharing the screen, but
Oh,
ooh,
That went south.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, he's back.
getting back.
yes. Some permission settings. Um, Oh yeah. So can you guys see the PPT? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
we can see it
cool.
now.
Okay. So after around 3 months efforts between the Tuya development team and Home Assistant team, it's really a great time to work with the Home Assistant official team. Our Tuya Home Assistant integration is finally released. And you can see now in the screen, you can search directly on Home Assistant configuration, and you will see there is a login page into your integration. It's pretty different from the last one. And I would like to demonstrate the user growth of the Home Assistant Tuya V2. We launched the first V2 integration in May. There are only 199 users, but when it comes to September, it reached around 3,000. So you can see the user growth is pretty dramatic, and we get lots of positive feedbacks from our users. And I would like to demonstrate a quick demo here. So now you can search Tuya in the integration here. And there are several fields. Firstly, you need to choose your smart live app or Tuya smart apps country code. For example, I'm in China, so I select China. And you paste the IoT access ID secret code here, which you can get from our Tuya IoT platform. And you just click submit, and you just log in successfully and get all the devices in your account as shown here, and just press finish, and then go to the overview. You'll see all the devices synced here. It's pretty straightforward and easy to use. And then here is the Tuya IoT platform. You can get all the ID and secret key directly from this page, and you need to subscribe to several service API here, which you can get it from the tutorial documentation. And for the devices, you can link your existing to your Smart Life app or Life Smart app account here, and it can sync all the devices from your app account to the IoT platform cloud project directly.
Well, one
Yeah.
of the things that is really cool about the IoT platforms that you can actually add virtual Tuya devices in the cloud, and so you can actually it's really cool for development, right? Like you just add these virtual devices, and then in Home Assistant you see how they actually work and interact. I really like that
Yes,
experience.
Yeah,
yes,
that's really
that's
cool.
true. Um, that's also a very good way for a developer uh, to try to help contribute to more products for this integration, and that's the main goal for this integration too. And also, I would like to compare the original Tuya integration and this integration. So for the supported category, the old one only applies to the voice control scenarios and only supports 6 types of Tuya devices, and it's pretty limited. But for the new Tuya integration, because it's built on Tuya's open APIs, and it supports all types and most of the control commands, and any devices that controls based on cloud-to-cloud connectivity can be supported in this Tuya V2 integration. For driver developments, we support virtual devices testing, which improves the efficiency of debugging the drivers for different categories. And for verifications, we uh, provide official secure authorization and verification to protect your account from instruction. And also, we provide technical support for this Tuya V2 integration rather than the old one, because it's officially maintained by Tuya, so you can get the technical support. You can always submit your uh, questions in GitHub issues, and we will do our best to reply and resolve the issues you uh, report. And the steps that you is required that is you need to create a cloud project from our Tuya IoT platform. And there are two ways to install this Tuya integration. The one is which is present today. You can directly install in the Home Assistant. And the second way is the beta version. You can use the HACX hacks to install the Tuya V2. Uh, it's up to you to choose it, but we always prefer the Home Assistant version because it's uh, officially maintained by Tuya and also by the Home Assistant team. Yeah, and also the for the response speed, the new one could be millisecond, is much faster than the previous one. And the apps that support only supports for Tuya Smart and Smart Life app currently.
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the biggest differences, right? Like if we look at the old integration, like there was a previous Tuya integration, but it was based on like a non-official API that like Tuya had put online, but it wasn't really maintained. And this new integration is the new open API that Tuya customers worldwide use, right? Not just Home Assistant. And because it's the modern API, it is cloud push. So this means that a moment a change is noted in the Tuya cloud, it will immediately come back to Home Assistant. Previously, it would like check every 10 or 20 seconds to see, hey, is there new data? Is there new data? And it's of course slower, and it means it's not very usable for automations or motion sensors, these kind of things. So this new integration really is a lot better in that regard. And I
Yes,
think
exactly.
yeah. And Oliver, you mentioned the drivers, and I think that just to clarify a bit here is that the Tuya API contains like every possible Tuya device ever. I think it will support eventually, but Home Assistant integration doesn't support all devices yet that the Tuya API does. So there we have to the Tuya integration needs to be expanded over time, which the community can also help contribute to make sure that all the different Tuya devices are getting supported. And I'm not sure if people are very familiar with Tuya, but Tuya makes like light bulbs, but also air conditioners and like pretty much everything in between. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of different device types, and it's all eventually coming to Home Assistant.
Yes, we welcome any developers who would like to contribute to these drivers, and we're happy that we can build this home system integration together. And one important thing I want to mention here is the original Tuya integration will be deprecated finally, which will be at least half a years. So do your best to migrate to the new Tuya V2 integration and try to use it, and we can make a much better integration for Tuya's old the devices.
Right, and then the old Tuya integration that is only available in any Home Assistant release up to this release. So this release has the new Tuya integration, so you're automatically switched over. The old, if you want to keep using the old Tuya integration, you should not update Home Assistant until you're ready.
Yes. And for the supported platforms, which everyone cares about, for now it supports the climate, fan, light, scene, and switch. And for the platforms, for this time, because of the usability and the reviewed details, we didn't put it here. But we will try to improve these platforms and bring a much better user experience for our users for the next release. And we will do our best to contribute to these platforms. And another thing is we cooperate with a developer called Mark Watt. He is very really professional on helping promoting the Tuya V2 supported uh, devices. and the integration. And he's really a big fan of the Home Assistant, and he helps to create this web page to demonstrate all the supported devices by Tuya V2. You can easily visit his website and get to buy the products that can be used in Home Assistant Tuya V2 integration easily. And for the link, you can just go to our GitHub repository, and it's shown in our homepage of the README.
Yeah, I think he's also in the chat. Look, he's
yeah.
there. He is. Mark Watt, can you like share a link with us so that like we can show it on the screen for a second? Yeah, Mark Watt has been one of the YouTubers doing some great videos about Home Assistant recently.
Yes. So you would like me to show it, or?
Yeah, do it. Let's do it.
Okay. Wait a minute. Let me open it. Okay. Okay, so everyone can see the webpage here. So this is the Tuya GitHub repository, the organization. And for the first one ping is the Tuya Home System. And this is the beta version of our integration, and you can use the Hex version to install it. And when you comes to here, you will see Mark Watt's tab page. And when you scroll down, you can see there is a pretty list here. And when you load, you can see all the devices that support by Tuya V2. For example, this Olive Tech Smart Wi-Fi Essential Oil Diffuser. When you click the buy product, you can go directly to the Amazon purchase link. Yeah.
So is it now that like if you are on Amazon, any product that is labeled Tuya, can you basically assume it will work with Home Assistant?
Yes, because this list is contributed by our developers who have
Right.
verified the capability.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's 100% sure that it works.
Ooh, it's expensive.
Maybe there are some errors. Yeah. Like this.
Oh, that's a lot more affordable.
Yeah.
Hey, that's
Yeah, so-
Dutch.
That's Dutch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the right. I should buy a couple of those to test with.
Okay, so let me come back to the PPT. Okay.
Yeah. So for Paula's question, that whether there will be a labor of worked with Home Assistant that on their Amazon page,
Right.
the product
So
details.
Yeah, so we've been thinking about like what would like be a good works with Home Assistant like system or label, and the one way we're looking into right now is that we have this notion of quality skills in our integration. So how well do error handling work, and what kind of like, if a device goes offline, how can you rename it? How well is it tested? And that we're probably gonna kind of like any integration that is platinum, those vendors are allowed to use like a works with Home Assistant badge, because then we know it's guaranteed to be like a solid integration. I think I think the biggest problem for us is just that like we just haven't put any time in it because there wasn't really any interest. But I think that like we actually just launched made for our ESP Home program. So ESP Home is like our sister firmware for devices for people that are creating their own devices, and we noticed that more and more people were starting to sell devices. Smaller and bigger groups were selling devices with firmware on it with ESP Home. So we decided to make like a program to kind of make it clear when people can and cannot put like the ESP Home logo. But I think for Home Assistant, we should probably like get our act together as well and do it.
So you have plan for a official program for the qualification of works with Home Assistant, similar as works with Alexa or works with Google. You have plan for
Well,
that?
yeah, we would. I mean, I've put Home Assistant through a few of those programs. Like I remember going through the Google certification, and we had to like ship 2 Raspberry Pis with Home Assistant on it to like a QA team that they had in Portland or something, and they would like plug in the Raspberry Pi, try to connect, and connect it to their local smart home stuff. I mean, that's the kind of work like we cannot do, right? Like for example, we wouldn't want to have like every Tuya device shipped to one of us and then like test it out or something to certify, right? So I think I think we would be a lot more like self-certification in a way, in that like, if we see that the integration is correct and we do like some smoke tests with a couple of devices, then it's probably good. And I think, most of the vendors that are interested in getting works with Home Assistant badge. Like for example, Tuya. I know that there's a lot of people in the Home Assistant community running Tuya stuff. I think according to our analytics, it's like 15% of the people have Tuya stuff at home. And so I think that like that's easy to test in a way.
Yeah.
Although of course not every device is available everywhere, right? So that's also a bit tricky. But yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Actually, a little bit about promote the ecosystem of Tuya. Actually, now the powered by Tuya ecosystem that we have over 400,000 SKUs within our system. These are products already goes up to to the market. Yeah, that's it includes all kind of home appliance and the air purifier, air conditioner, or the kitchen appliance, different kind of products. Yeah, already connected to a platform, and we are offering the open API to provide the developers the development tools. So easy to integrate the powered by Tuya device into the home system system. Yeah.
Damn, 400,000, huh?
400,000 SKUs actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't send every single one for testing. That's not a good idea. Holy crap.
Yeah.
400,000. That's
Yeah. So the 2L product ecosystem is pretty big, and that's the next thing I want to show is everyone can develop new Javas for more products. So we provide a fully documentation and tutorial in our GitHub wikis. You can learn how to add any product drivers for it. And also, I think Home System provide a pretty decent documentation on the drivers development too. And the last one is I would like to show is we want this integration is built by the community. So we want our developers to help to develop new drivers to support more products, help to fix bugs, and support any multi-language they want, and also provide more product purchase page for this integration. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much it for today's sharing. So any questions are welcome, and we can talk about it. Yeah.
The only thing is on my mind right now is that like 400,000 SKUs, and Mark Watt is trying to make that website. I feel sorry for that guy right now.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not. It should not be a concern. Like one day, if you have a official program for the certification works with Home Assistant. Actually, now among the 400,000 SKUs, now there are over 38,000 products that are powered by voice AI, like Google Assistant and Apple HomeKit and Alexa. Actually, we are the recommended channel to do the certification like this. So for the works with Alexa or works with Google Assistant, that Tuya is a recommended partner that for the vendor of these products, they can ask for the Tuya to do the certification process. and only pay the value adding service fee, which is not that much. So that is a good way for to handle the certification process as well. So no matter the big amount of the SKUs, there is no issue.
Get certified. Nice.
So
Home
one of the
system.
questions that keeps coming up, and people are asking, like, and we all, of course, knew this was coming: is this one in the cloud or is this local? And so this integration is in the cloud, just like the previous integration was. Um, and right now, I'm just gonna talk for you guys, but like, local is not, it's not planned right now. And I think the way I see it is like, Tuya is a very big organization, and like, this is the cloud API team we're talking to, and not the local API team, right? So we're not. There's currently no scheduled plan for when a local API would come available.
Would it become a
Um,
possibility for the future, maybe? Like, would it be considered?
I think this question goes to Oliver.
okay, so from my side, yeah, everyone would love to have local feature control feature support for Home Assistant integration, and it's a pretty big feature. And as we stated before, Tuya has been piloting with the Home Assistant team to continually update and improve the Home Assistant integration. Regarding the local control feature that community has been waiting to be launched, Tuya's technical and product team has performed a assessment in terms of the user experience, technical feasibility, and also our partner benefits. And Tuya's technical and product team has determined that it may need a more comprehensive assessment of the current considerations to make sure this feature can meet the community's expectation and needs. So it we may need more time to investigate, develop, and communicate with our partners to bring this feature to the community. And it's all in progress and in our roadmap, but it's not ready to go now. So if it's ready, we will make an announcement with Home Assistant team officially for this feature. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. So the important part to in here is it's not a no, right? So a lot of these questions, it's not a no, but it's not yet at this
Yeah.
point. So
yeah,
we'll see what the future beholds, right?
I
Great.
mean, my bet is that, like, if, for example, Matter becomes more, if Matter ever is released, right, the new smart home standard, because we've seen actually Tuya products adopt like Zigbee 3.0, right? So if Tuya would support Matter, it has a local API. So,
yeah,
but that's of course also a whole. I mean, that's not. That's where I think probably eventually everything is going in the smart home market, right? It's just, regardless of Tuya, I think there will be a lot of devices supporting Matter, and then yeah,
Yeah. Tuya's team is doing some pre-research on the matter as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we've
yeah,
been also following Matter, and it's like, but we've been mainly following the open source repository, and it's chaos. Like, it's they say the spec is finished, but nothing publicly showed that any spec is finished. Like, they're doing complete refactors and stuff like that. So
Feels like a real house. It's never finished.
yeah,
Yeah, there is no ready to go deliverables now.
no.
Nope.
I mean, I'm not surprised, right? You put Google, Apple, and Amazon, and like whatever other big tech companies in a room, and tell them to decide on something. Like, good luck.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
it takes
yeah.
time.
And you guys may want to know our development team size for this integration. We really have limited R&D resources on this. For now, we only have around 2 people, 2 engineers focus on this integration, and most of them just not have full time on this because we have more urgent and important products in the roadmap for Tuya's platform. But for me as a product manager, I'll try to push this Tuya V2 integration forward and provide more features and product support in the future. Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
great thing, it's now open source and out there, right? So everybody can contribute, and other developers can jump in and do, well, fix things and maybe add like new devices support or new features for certain platforms. I think this is great that it landed right now, right? So there's something to build on. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Oliver. I like what you said. Like, yeah, we don't have a lot of resources, just 2 engineers.
It's a
And
lot.
like,
Yeah.
there is a lot more resources than like 99% of the integrations in Home Assistant have, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Definitely.
You guys are doing a great job on this, and the code review quality is pretty high, and we appreciate it, and we learn a lot from it.
it's good.
It's a fun thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, our code review is tough, especially for people learning Python just in general. But I think it, you know, that's why when people get to use a core integration, the quality is better than like the custom integrations out there, because we do our due diligence and we'll make sure that it interacts correctly with the core as we have envisioned it.
Yeah.
It's important to deliver the product stable, right? For us as well, right? The releases need to be stable. We all want everything to work as
Yeah.
the best possible. So, yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Cool. So, I don't, any other questions? I don't see any other questions for Tuya. We gotta take like 30 seconds before the stream reaches the people and type, so you can just like follow the text box. Let's see.
So, here's one. When will the docs be updated? So far, no mention on how to get the access ID. The documentation actually has been updated tonight, so it should show step by step in screenshots on how to set up your Tuya IoT account and how to obtain the needed access IDs and keys. It was also shown during the stream a bit back, so if you scroll a bit back to the presentation by Oliver, you can actually see it there as well.
Yeah. So let me share the screen so you guys can see all the documentations.
Well, I just put the URL here as well. So I mean, just go to Home Assistant integrations Tuya. We iterated a lot on the documentation in the even up to yesterday in early today.
Yep.
But
Yeah. Okay. Let me show it.
so here I see this question: Tuya Zigbee devices, will they always require Tuya Hub? No, right? So Zigbee, of course, is Zigbee. So you could talk. You can either go through a Tuya Hub, and then I guess it ends up in Tuya Cloud, but you can also talk local Zigbee to the Tuya Zigbee devices. And this is, of course, the beauty of open standards, right? Like you can kind of mix and match everything together.
Well, I think,
Yeah.
Paulus, that really speaks to one of the big advantages of Tuya, right? Because we have over 30 different flavors of radio modules out there in these 400,000 devices, right? And so as you develop a solution around a Tuya device, right, that's really developing around any number of different physical standards out there from a radio standpoint, right? That could be a Zigbee device. It could be a Bluetooth device, right? It could be something really cool we don't even know about yet in the future because of the way the platform is built, right? And that's really the biggest advantage, I think, for developers using the platform is that huge number of choices out there, right? Lots of flexibility.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I just saw for the people that have that want to have a visual guide on how to set up like a video. Mark Watt Tech, sorry for the pronunciation, we'll have a video later today or tomorrow, depending, I guess, on your time zone.
Yes, Mark has recorded a great video for this.
Here's another question. Is there power monitoring integration from Tuya?
So I guess if you're looking for any kind of device that's powered by Tuya, there's actually a central website where we list all powered by Tuya devices, and you can go in and search by category and by country, right? Because there are variances globally in the Tuya portfolio as to what's available where. So if you go to expo.tuya.com, and we can share that link out, you can actually search by category, and so there's several power meters in that Expo page that are compatible. Now, whether or not they're supported through the Home Assistant platform is a different question, right? But the devices are out there, yeah.
Well, I think this is probably mainly related also to our new energy management feature, where we track the power usage of different switches, right? Like there's certain power plugs that know how much electricity is flowing through.
Exactly.
I actually just quickly checked. There's currently no sensor support for Tuya, so
It isn't supported yet. I've checked it as well. So,
yeah.
Maybe soon. Would be cool.
Drivers to be to other developers, and also the engineers into your team as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that this is still relatively early in this effort, right? There's a lot to do. It's a big ecosystem. When you look at the scope of a feature like local control, it within Tuya, that all of a sudden becomes an enormous effort, right? Because it's a lot of different moving parts, a lot of pieces. And I think when you take something as sophisticated as Home Assistant and match it with an ecosystem as big as Tuya, right? There's just a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So I think the good news is where we are today is working well, and I think we've got a significant commitment to quality on both ends, which is the ultimate key to success here, right? It's all got to work right. I saw somebody in the comments earlier talking about the wife acceptance factor, or the spousal acceptance factor, which for a lot of people is a really big deal, right? These things, it may be a hobby or fun, it may be something you're really serious about, but it always has to work.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw this question, which I want to bring in. Somebody wrote, Tuya won't get a device after upgrading to the latest release. If you have been using Tuya before upgrading to today's release, then indeed you need to reset it up to get your devices back, because like the old integration is not compatible. So if you upgrade, it will not connect. And then you have to reset it up. So there's a breaking changes section in the release notes about Tuya, and it will exactly tell you what to do in that case.
It basically comes down to uninstall, or like remove the config entry, restart Home Assistant, and go.
Yep, indeed. Or you don't even have to
And
restart.
remove custom components and like.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Are there any final questions before we wrap up the first part with Tuya?
Or do you guys have another question for us, maybe?
That's true. This is your moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the next release of the Tuya integration, it really depends on the Home Assistant core release. Like it would be October the 27th for the Home Assistant core beta release, and November the 3rd for the core release. So for anyone that who is really interested in new product support, like the robot vacant and cover support, it would probably be in the November final release.
Yeah.
We will try to do our best to provide more supports. But as you can see, this is the official Home Assistant integration. So you need to cooperate with the official team by Paulus and Frank to help review and ensure the quality. So it really takes times. Yeah.
Right. And so cover is almost done, right? We had it like, I would say it's like 85% there. So cover is definitely going to be the next release.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, then I want to thank all of you for joining us today, guys. And
Yeah. Thank you.
we'll talk offline a bit further.
Cool. Thanks so much for having us, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night, guys.
Thank you. Really good chance to have this discussion with the developers, the community members. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
All right. Boom. It's awesome. I'm really stoked about this collaboration. And I think that, you know, the Tuya products are not for everybody. Some people might want to do local. People want to have offer other approaches. But I think what I really like is that Tuya products are very good, aggressively priced. They're very cheap, affordable, and I think that it's very accessible, right? I think that a lot of times in our community we forget that like not everybody is willing to like buy a light bulb, screw it open, and install your custom firmware on it, right? Like, and
It's a really cheap way to get started with home automation in general, right? Like you can buy those Tuya enabled bulbs like on every street corner nowadays.
Yeah,
for
they
like
pop up
really
everywhere
low
now.
prices. So it's like the gateway drug to home automation or something. I don't know.
I mean, that was like in the Netherlands where I feel like every store, like the Action and the Kruidvat, which is like pharmacies kind of shops, they started selling white label Tuya devices. And it was like, whoa, I think Lidl has them too. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Lidl, Hema, Action, Kruidvat, they all
Yeah.
have Tuya devices.
They all have
like all-
Tuya.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they're really affordable. Like there is almost not a more cheaper solution available if you want to have some bulbs. And sure, you could do things local and like Z-Wave or Z-Wave, depends on how you want to say it. Like that's great too, and it's all local, but it's way more expensive in general. So I think it's like we don't have to forget a lot of users that are looking for some cheap ways, or maybe you have an area that doesn't matter that much and you don't want to spend that much money on a certain area in your house. For example, my shed has cheap bulbs, I can tell you. So yeah, that's a bit like whatever you like, right? We want to serve and open up for everybody. And I think this is really great for that.
Well, I mean, for me, I always see it as like this path that people take, right? Where like they start with Philips Hue or IKEA or Tuya now, and once they run into the limitations of these systems because automations are not as advanced as they want, or like certain devices are not supported. When they come to Home Assistant, we don't want them to repair all their light bulbs directly to Home Assistant. Instead, if we can build on top of their existing hubs or networks and just instantly, boom, here are all your light bulbs that you had in your old system. Now you have access to all these new features and you can start adding different devices and all that stuff. I think it's when you look about like how a person grows in their home automation journey, that's kind of, you see that going, and eventually they all go like wherever, right? Like, so Linus Tech Tips, he's like building a new home. It's like this YouTuber, and he's using Home Assistant for his home, and then now of course he got like to the next step, and so now he's using like Frigate, which is like open source video recording software that there's also machine learning AI on it to like detect stuff all local and build to integrate with Home Assistant. Or like you look at like Troy Hunt, who starts doing Home Assistant and now he's doing like Octoprint, and like, it's once you get kind of pulled into this world, there's so much cool stuff that you can do. Not just Home Assistant, right? Like it's a whole ecosystem, and we just all make sure that we work together. So yeah, it's Tuya is a good gateway drug.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, just to like jump back a bit, this is a release party stream. Hi guys, and we actually plan to talk about Home Assistant 2021.10 today, right?
Yes.
It has been Tuya up until now, but I think we have some more to offer.
There is really, yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Show us.
Let's see. Well, why don't we start for a change? We haven't done it in a while, by looking at our analytics.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
You are mixing things up, mate. I'm confused now.
What do you mean?
No,
Going
go
off
ahead.
book.
Going off book. This is wild.
Okay, we haven't talked about the release yet, but like let's look. It doesn't get added to the stream anymore. No, the reason I want to remind people that we have Home Assistant Analytics. It is a opt-in. People can say, I want to share my data. And we use this data to convince manufacturers to show how popular their devices are and to take us seriously. And the reason this is important that because, for example, if a company like Tuya would have been exploring, they don't know how many people are using Home Assistant, right? But through this analytics, they can actually see if 15% is using Tuya devices. And then they're more interested in like adding support. So right now, as you can see, almost 90,000 active Home Assistant installations. If you want to opt in as well, you can go to your configuration, to General, and then scroll all the way to the bottom. We still have this idea that we're going to we ask it during onboarding, but for existing installations, we haven't asked people actually. So one day we should figure out a way to get more people aware besides mentioning it on the release stream. But yeah, this one is actually one of my favorites where you can see how fast people update, and you can see that every release.
0.9.
Yeah, well, so every release we lose people, right? As in they don't upgrade, they stay on this version, and you can see that we launched, of course, analytics in April, so there's still people on that release, and that will probably be for a long time to go. But yeah, I just wanted to tell people, if you haven't opted into analytics, it's really cool. And if you want to see this data, this is analytics.homeassistant.io. And if you go to, you can see whatever is popular. So, I mean, this is wild, but you can see that 40% of the Home Assistant users has a Google Cast device, which is very, it's a lot. You can also see Philips Hue is popular, HomeKit is popular. So yeah. It's a lot of fun information also just to see what's going on in our community. All right, let's go really back to the release now.
Could we, I don't know, use the release note or something? Or
Yeah.
what else?
Let's do that.
Oh, you have it open, Frank. I can see it here.
Yeah, I do, but yeah, okay. Fine. Plop, that's my desktop. Okay. Let's see. No, some bloody blood on me. Let's drop it down. Oh, I started with Home Assistant Ember in the release notes this time. So in case you have missed it, Home Assistant turned 8 last month. So that's kind of nice. 8 years old. That's a long time, by the way, Paulus. That's really cool. So for the birthday, we announced Home Assistant Ember. You want to say something about that, Paulus? Because
yeah, well, can you scroll a little bit down so we can show the graphic on the screen?
Yeah, that's way nicer.
Right, so Home Assistant Ember is our new hub. So it is based around the Compute Module 4. It is upgradable, as in you can actually, inside the casing, you can plug in an SSD hard drive to expand the storage space. It has a Zigbee module on board, so you don't need a Zigbee USB stick. And the module that we're using is compatible with Matter when it comes out. So it's already certified for Thread, which is the radio networking that Matter uses for its mesh networking. So we'll be able to run Matter on this as well. It's based around the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4. This means it's like as powerful as a Raspberry Pi 4, except that there's no SD cards because we hate SD cards. And you can either rely on eMMC storage that's built into Compute Module 4, or you can use just the SSD hard drive to power your Home Assistant installation. So yeah, it's really cool. We've been, in case you have, this is today the first time you see about it, you can go find it on crowdsupply.com or you follow the link on the Home Assistant website. We already hit our funding goal. Our funding goal was $140,000, which we needed to have like a break-even point on like design and production and tooling. Generally, when it comes to this kind of mass manufacture things, is that the tooling to, for example, create like boxes is very expensive, right? But then every box itself becomes relatively cheap. So, but of course, as we sell more, that means that like we, that cost is spread out more, and so it becomes more affordable. So that's why we had this goal of 140,000, which we reached. So we reached it within 5 days, I think. So we launched on Wednesday, and on Sunday morning we broke it, and now we're almost on the double of that. It's really cool. I think the big thing is we are hit by the component shortage. We really try to avoid it. Like last June, we took a list of all the components in the Home Assistant Ember, and we pre-ordered parts for everything that took longer than 20 weeks. And we pre-ordered parts to build like 5,000 boxes. And then by the time we launched, some of the stuff that had like 2 weeks or 6 weeks lead time, now all of a sudden had like 50 weeks. So that's why you can see that if you go to the website, delivery dates are a bit out in the future. We're still working. We might do a redesign to get work around a PoE chip shortage that we're running into. But yeah, the truth is, of course, that the component world is the chip shortage, as it's called in the media. It's very real, and it really impacts everything. Even we tried to use the newest chips that are not popular in demand, and even that didn't work out. I just mentioned PoE. There is Home Assistant Ember. You can buy also as a PoE variant. That way you can just plug in Home Assistant Ember and just power over Ethernet. It will power Home Assistant, the box, and you don't need a power supply, which is pretty much my favorite way of running Home Assistant, because it is one cable less. So
it looks it's kind of nice. It is funded right now, but you can still back it and get yours, right? So if you go to the homepage and to the release notes, you can click on the Ember on the homepage. The Ember is listed as well, the Home Assistant Ember, and I've shared the link in the chat as well. So yeah, if you're interested, you can still back the Home Assistant Ember and get yours.
Yeah. And for the people that because this question keeps coming up every time, what is the difference between Home Assistant Blue and Home Assistant Ember? With Home Assistant Blue, we took an existing board and we put a case around it. And so it was generic purpose, great, but not Home Assistant focused. So that means there's no Zigbee in it. It means that if you want to have the Home Assistant Blue do everything that Ember does, you would have to buy a Zigbee stick for one. And the Home Assistant Ember cannot be expanded. So right now, the biggest eMMC module available for it is 128 gigabytes. So the Home Assistant Blue is just stuck at 128 gigs. So depending on how you want to use your hub, the Home Assistant Blue and Ember will run the same Home Assistant, and with a Zigbee stick, will have access to the same Zigbee features. There's no Ember specific features because that's not how we roll. So yeah, and of course, the Home Assistant Blue is available today, which is also a big difference. So the Home Assistant Blue is available today, but it's the last bit of stock. So once it sells out, we will no longer produce extra cases, because our focus is going to be on the Home Assistant Ember, because it's everything we've learned in a box and expandable. So yeah, I think that's it, Frank, for Home Assistant Ember.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, happy birthday. Let's close with that, right?
I mean, 8 years, it's insane. That is. No. Man, the world was so different back then.
Right, but it all started for you with the Philips Hue, right? With a couple of bulbs you want to automate.
I mean, that was my gateway drug. As
Yeah,
is for many people.
Tuya
But
was
for
a
me, it
popular
was
back then.
actually the API, right? I talked to the Philips Hue API, and yeah, from there it like became Home Assistant.
Right. So we got like I'm still not sure how you pronounce this. Is it Z wave or Z wave? Like I hear
I
both.
always say
actually.
C wave, but
Yeah,
I
me
say
too.
C wave, but I bet the British say Z wave.
Probably right. I'm going to keep it at Z wave. So two really great Z wave updates today, actually. One is S2, which I had a lot of troubles on describing it. What it is. So basically, Home Assistant is the first home automation platform that's open source home automation platform. I have to say it right. That now supports S2 security standard for Z-Wave, which means we can now use like a modern security protocol encryption between the devices and controller, or between the devices even, to communicate. Right? I'm saying it right. I hope. I hope I explain it well. Which is actually really cool because I believe it's better than the old encryption.
it
In
is.
terms of
I mean,
It's
I
way
think that's
better.
what we need to say. S0 sucked. Like the S0 Pro standard that used to be in Z Wave was like it would take like 3 times as many messages to send one message over.
Yep.
And so if you put everything on S0 in your network, I think Frank, you have experience with that. Nothing works, right?
Yeah.
So
when I jumped into Z-Wave back in the day, I thought, wow, you can add it securely. I should add everything securely, which was the S0, right? And then, well, everything died on me because like there was no bandwidth left or something. So that has been greatly improved with S2, I guess. And also, like, it should use less energy, so your battery powered devices are like having a longer battery life, and your network will be more reliable. And every device has this unique key, encryption key. So instead of like one key with S0, this is like each device is
Yeah, you have
uniquely
different
encrypted.
categories, so you can say this device can access more than the other, and
All right, cool.
so for your door lock, you can give it different rights than your motion sensor.
Right, that makes sense. So that's kind of cool. And what I really like about this is actually if you now pair a device with Home Assistant, it will automatically select the best method it can use automatically. So it's not like what if you add it and it has S2 support, it will just use that. It will just pair with that and use that, or else fall back to the others, which is kind of nice. You don't have to worry about it. So that's really cool. Yeah,
but I
that-
think, you know what, when we look at the feature set of like a Z-Wave controller, S2 was the big missing feature that basically, you know, we're getting to the place where we can actually start looking like, hey, should we get Z-Wave certified? Because now we support all the major features. I think the last feature that is still missing is the fast start or the smart start or something, where like you
Smart.
can prepare. So like you put into your controller saying this device is going to come online with this installation code or whatever, and when the device is turned on, boom, it's in your system. And usually that's usually like a QR code, right? So the controller scans the QR code on the device, and then it's paired instead of like going through the pairing dance that is unique for each device.
Yep.
Oh, I had one note below this screenshot. By the way, this is a screenshot that shows an advanced strategy to pair a device so you can override it. But if you have already an S2 device paired before this release, then it will not be using S2 right now. So you would have to repair it in order to get the S2 support for that device. That's kind of thing. I do see a couple of questions popping up about how do I know if my device supports S2? I've seen this question on Reddit as well. Well, that's check with the manufacturer of the device. That's the best thing you can do. Most modern devices, Z-Wave devices, support it. Some manufacturers actually offer firmware upgrades that allow it. I've seen today, so that's kind of interesting. Unfortunately, none of mine though.
It will be marketed if they support it. It will be in the documentation.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
All right. Then another Z-Wave GS thingy, or Z-Wave thingy. Is it Z-Wave or Z-Wave GS? Or
It's
You
both.
never know. Well, before you continue, I actually saw somebody asked like, "Hey, is this also supported in Z-Wave to MQTT?"
Yep.
And because yes, the Z-Wave to MQTT and Home Assistant's Z-Wave JS integration both built on top of the Z-Wave JS library. And then the Z-Wave JS to MQTT actually includes the server component that we wrote to integrate Home Assistant with Z-Wave JS. But also Z-Wave to MQTT has its own dashboard that is different than the Home Assistant dashboard. It has some features that we don't have. But that's, of course, we're catching up. So you can actually use Z-Wave to MQTT without doing actually the MQTT part.
yeah, for the add-on version, the MQTT part is even disabled by default.
Yeah.
Right.
No, actually, I get a question. Charles is writing me, one of the Z-Wave JS developers. Z-Wave to MQTT is not the same as Z-Wave JS to MQTT. So that's a good yes. So we were working on Open Z-Wave in the past, and Open Z-Wave to MQTT was like the integration that we never released. So it's like a beta, the OZW integration. That one is like we just do not develop it anymore. The Open Z-Wave side of things are not developed anymore, and we also, like, it was never an official integration, so with the migration that we built now that's in this release is actually only from the old Z-Wave and not from Open Z-Wave to Z-Wave JS. So yeah, the migration, I think this is a lot of people have been waiting for this. I think it's, I guess, Bram, you built the feature part, the front end part. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I just want to try a live demo.
Whoa, wait, what?
Yeah, I want to try it because
seriously,
yeah, it's
you did a live demo.
It's I don't know. Let's see if it works. So I've set up I deleted my normal Z-Wave network. I added the old Z-Wave network that is deprecated. You should not set up.
Oh, actually, before we continue, one thing we should note is that with Z-Wave, your pairings are bound to your stick. That means that you can move your USB stick around. You can set it up with different integrations, and you do not lose any. You don't have to repair any devices. So it's actually also easy to play with this. So like you can make a backup, do a migration, see if it figures out, roll back, or just do a dry migration. Sorry, Bram, continue.
Yeah. So I've set up the old deprecated Z-Wave. And if we click configure, we go to the Z-Wave control panel. And we see a new Migrate to Z-Wave JS card. And you see my Z-Wave network is started. So if we press start migrate to Z-Wave JS, we get in a flow, and it will guide us through the entire process. So we will first have to stop the old Z-Wave network. Then we will set up the new Z-Wave JS integration and network. And then we'll try to migrate the old devices and old entities to the Z-Wave JS integration. So your device IDs and entities IDs stay the same, so you don't have to change all your automations and Lovelace. And you will still need to change some things probably, because it can't migrate everything, but a lot of the work will be done for you. And then afterwards, it will remove the old Z-Wave integration and should be done. So before you go into this, make a backup so you can always roll back if things go wrong or whatever. So you're sure. So if we continue, it will tell me that one of my devices is not ready yet. It's a device that is not working, so that's expected. But if this shows up and your devices are all working, wake them up if they're battery powered so they report their state. So we know what they support and we can migrate them. So after that, we stop the network. So now the controller is no longer in use. So CUFJS can take over the controller and start the network with CUFJS. So if we continue, I'm using a supervised installation. So it will ask me if I want to use the supervisor add-on, and then it will install that add-on for me. I don't have to do anything. It will just install that. It was already installed here, so it's a bit quicker for me. Then it will automatically fill in the device path from your old configuration, and you can the legacy key will be filled in. The S2 keys will not, as it was not supported by the old C-Wave integrations. So you will have to enter those yourself.
Well, they will be automatically generated, right?
Yeah, if you leave them empty, they will be automatically generated. True. So you don't have to fill them in. And then it will start the add-on. And I have my devices. That's cool. So if we finish now, then it will tell me it has not migrated anything yet. It will tell me what it can migrate. And
what does it mean to migrate, right? There's two things we're migrating. One, your Z-Wave core settings, your keys, your path, so that like the old Z-Wave doesn't start with the new Z-Wave. But the second part that's being migrated is that your devices and your entities are no longer bound to the old Z-Wave integration, but the new Z-Wave integration in a way that all your entity IDs stay the same, which is the important part.
Yeah, correct. So for some reason now, a lot less entities, but my migration is not entirely how it should be. So normally it will have more devices that it can migrate and more entities. But it will also show you what it can't migrate. So in this case, these entities will not be migrated. So they won't be renamed to the old entity IDs. And these entities, these devices and these entities will be migrated. So that's not much in this case. So we click migrate. These will be changed. That's done. And now we're using CWave.js. So we go to devices, we see the devices. And it should all work. That's it.
If you go one page back, you go back to the device info page. On here, you can also see if a device is secure, yes or no, and what firmware it's running.
Yeah. So you see the status of the device. So everything that was previously in the C-Wave configuration panel, most of that moved to the device page for CWave.js. So if you go to a device, you will see the information of the C-Wave device. You can re-interview the device, heal the device, remove a failed device, configure it. So you can also...
That was actually pretty impressive. I have not seen this before, by the way, to be honest. So that was cool.
Where's my configuration? I don't know.
It's a live demo. Here we go.
Oh, it's working for this one. So all your configuration settings can be done.
This is the problem with Z-Wave is that like it's all very standardized, and then at some point that standardization has to turn into actual usable settings, and that's just like I guess in this case like if you have the documentation of this device, the manual, you know that parameter one stands for something, right? And so that's why it shows like parameter one, but it just doesn't make for very nice config panels automatically generated. But it's almost impossible because we need to support every Z-Wave device out there. And I mean, it's not 400,000, but it's a lot.
Might be 400,000.
Actually, a lot of manuals, at least, like I got a couple of those Vibaro plugs and dimmers and such. Those actually have, if you open the manuals, they will actually refer to parameter 18 or whatever instead of like the whole thing, because it's like more precise in every interface. So it actually kind of makes sense to have those.
Yeah, that's the
helpful
reason it is
with
there.
Z-Wave.
Yeah. And then we also get the descriptions from the CWave.js databases.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, so that was it. I'm now migrated and using the new CWave.js integration.
Boom. And
to show the new add device.
Well, before you continue, 1 second. Oh. Because you're using a Home Assistant operating system or supervised installation, you are able to use the ZWave.js add-on, right? So the ZWave.js server doesn't run inside Home Assistant, but runs in a different process, which is on Home Assistant OS. We're able to start this automatically for you, and we will automatically install it. It will be automatically started, configured, and as Home Assistant updates and requires new versions, it will also automatically update it for you. So you will always... Like if you install the ZWave.js add-on as part of your ZWave.js setup through like add integration, you're done. Like everything else is just done for you. So you no longer have to manage an add-on. You don't even know it exists in a way.
Yeah.
So if you have the opportunity, if you have the ability to run Home Assistant operating system and use add-ons and you use Z-Wave, this is the way to go.
Definitely, yeah. So for the new add device stuff with S2 support, it's really easy. You click add device and it will just start searching for devices because we do everything automatically now. So if it finds a S2 device now, it will ask you for the pin you have to enter. That's for an S2 device. The rest is all automatic. If it doesn't support S2, you don't have to do anything. And if you want, you can press advanced inclusion and then secure if possible. That's the default. But then it will also allow you to choose the different levels of security for S2. And you can use legacy secure. It's not advised to do that as it has a lot of overhead and is slow. But some devices don't work with this option and you do want them secure. So then you can use it, or you can use insecure, like the old normal way of inclusion.
The Z-Wave integration is going fast. It's unfreaking believable.
It is. It's really fast.
Yeah, big shout out to the ZWave.js team, both the one maintaining the integration, Raman and Charles and Martin, but also the ZWave.js library people, especially Dominique, and I don't know any of the other names, but
the ZWave.js project in general, it's
really high quality.
Yeah. Definitely cool to see.
Yeah, that's it for Z-Wave, I think.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Like, I think that when we set out 1.5 years ago, we announced at the State of the Union, like, hey, we're going to focus on Z-Wave. We're going to make it better. We initially started with Open Z-Wave to MQTT. Didn't work out. Then we pivoted earlier this year, being like, okay, this is not the way to go. Z-Wave.js seems to be the future. And now, I mean, we got like the best Z-Wave possible, right? I think that like it's really mature, it's really good, and it's it's how it should be. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the moment. Like, if you're still on like another Z-Wave solution, I really, in my opinion, doesn't matter which one. Like, even if you use the old smart things to tunnel it to Home Assistant or Fera, or if you're using the old Z-Wave integration, like Bram just showed,
Ooh.
or the open Z-Wave integration we had for a moment. Like, if you are using anything of these, like, you seriously, like, this is more my personal opinion probably, but I think a lot of people will agree, you seriously have to consider migrating one way or the other to the new integration, because it is just like feature rich, it works well, it's rock solid, it supports a lot of devices like really well, it's well maintained and updated. And I think the time is right, if you're even for a complex or big network, just like it might be some time to invest, unless you can use the new migration, of course, that will reduce the time a lot, but like, it's worth it. I definitely believe and strongly believe it's worth it to invest that time to migrate to CWFGS
Yeah,
at
it's
this
so
point.
much more reliable and stable than the old Z-Wave integration was. I never have any issues anymore.
Like, to prove my case here, no, this one, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's really well written. It's really well built, and it amazed me. So yeah, the time is right.
Definitely. Before we move on from Z-Wave, there's this question: what will happen with Matter? Is that a lot of work? So Matter is being developed with together. The standard is developed together with an open source reference implementation. Actually, to take a step back, Matter is a new smart home standard being built by Google, Apple, Amazon, Silicon Labs, like a lot of people in the home, a lot of big companies, both device manufacturers and controller manufacturers in the home automation space. And they are together with this standard, it's being based on Zigbee 3. They're also developing a open source reference implementation. And one of the languages this open source reference implementation is being built upon is Python, actually. So will it be a lot of work? Everything, integrating a whole ecosystem is always a lot of work. Is it possible? Definitely. We are probably going to do the same approach as we did for Z-Wave.js, in that it will run in its own process. So that means a restart of Home Assistant will keep your network up, it will keep everything going, and we can upgrade it together with Home Assistant. Cool. Frank, can I put your release notes up back?
Yeah, sure. Here we go. Back again.
Boom. Oh,
Didn't
actually, I'm gonna like show something real quick.
Okay.
We have a new screenshot on our website. It's been 5 years. We had the previous one for 5 years, and it was, I think, using like an iPhone 8 model, and it had like big bezels, and like it was really maybe even iPhone 6, I guess. I don't know, very old. And so we, somebody came in a pull request, a contribution, and was like, okay, this is really old. We need to do better. And we agreed. And so we worked together, and it's updated. So, yay. I think it's actually cool that this website, I created this website in 2014, I think, something like this. And the template has ever been the same. Of the underlying technology, Jekyll has also, well, it is still Jekyll, but Frank has like rewrote the whole stack. So instead of like 3 minutes, it's like 10 seconds building time. But it's kind of fascinating to see if you go back in the Wayback Machine or the archive.org, you can go back to older versions of the site. And it's pretty much the same. We should at some point maybe consider like updating it, but there's always other work to be done. So Anyway, I just wanted to show the new screenshot because the thing is pretty cool.
Yeah, and talking about the website and the screenshot that has changed, right? In case you guys missed it, it's October, right? So it's Hacktoberfest right now. So Hacktoberfest is a celebration for open source, like Home Assistant. And if you do 4 contributions to open source projects, I would recommend Home Assistant. Then you can actually get a free T-shirt. So this is a busy time for us, right? Because we get a lot of contributions, which is really great, and we see a lot of new faces. But if you would like to contribute once to Home Assistant and learn a bit, it's not just code, right? We have the website too. So if you could improve some graphics, or I don't know, see a typo, or want to improve some text, or contribute code, or go to front-end development, and then you will meet Bram more. That's all possible in Hacktoberfest. Maybe it's a good time to contribute for the first time to an open source project, and then we would love to see it being Home Assistant, of course. And if you do 4 contributions this month, you will get a free T-shirt from Hacktoberfest, the organization. So that's kind of cool. Yep.
Yeah.
So hope to see some more graphics with this.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, somebody's asking, is it a Home Assistant T-shirt or a Hacktoberfest T-shirt? It's a
Hacktoberfest
T-shirt. Yeah. No, yeah, it would be cool if you could hand out Home Assistant T-shirts, but then like that's also a lot of money. All right, back to the release notes. Tuya, if you missed this part, scroll back to the very beginning of the stream. We talked to Tuya, actual people from Tuya. They were on the stream. And we talked to them for like 40, 45 minutes.
Yep. Which is it was really cool for them to be on live on stream. I think that's very brave.
Yeah. In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night for them. Yeah.
3 a.m. Well, China is on a single time zone, all of China, right? So when they say 3 a.m., it's always difficult to know what the actual time is. Like in some place of China, they get up very early, right? Because of the sun doesn't care what the time zone is.
So,
wow. That made me think a bit. It makes sense. That's
no, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. If you still live in other hours, it doesn't make sense that you live in the same time zone, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
All right, material design icons, and I think this one is really cool. By the way, I like this one. So it has been updated to version 6, which brings in like there are 2 versions released in version 6, so the one brought a total of 400 new icons.
375 or something.
Yeah, something like that. And it's a lot, right? And
material design icons, they're such a cool crew, right? These are the people, they love making icons. They love Home Assistant too. They've been working with the Home Assistant community for 5 years at least, right? If it's not more. And like, it's just really, they make like the best icons, and like we couldn't wish for like a better group to collaborate with on icons. And they also participate in Hacktoberfest. So if you are missing icons, which is going to be hard at this point because there's a lot of icons, you can definitely let them know your use case and they can look into it.
Yeah, so, they have over 5,000 icons now, I think.
Nice.
It's insane.
And they've actually, they have a request as well. So if you're missing an icon and you cannot create it, you can actually submit a request for a specific icon. And maybe, like, it's no guarantee, right? But maybe somebody will step up and fulfill that request. So one of those, for example, that has been open for a long time, and unfortunately, it's not displayed in this chart, but one of the icons I'm always missed in Home Assistant is curtains, open and closed curtains, because, well, I have automated curtains. And there was not an icon that matched that. So with this release, we actually have curtains, open and closed curtains icons now. So I'm happy. That was a request by somebody, and it's actually fulfilled and now in this release. So that's kind of nice to see. And I think that's really cool in this release because there are a lot of automation icons added. Like a couple of here are already shown. A lot of different lights I've seen. And sliding doors are kind of nice.
I like the bathtub.
The bathtub, yeah.
You can put a wet sensor in your bathtub, so you know if somebody is taking a bath.
And I've looked through all of them today, and the weirdest one I've seen is the wireless sun. So
Yeah, I've seen that.
yeah, you have seen it. It's the sun with Wi-Fi thingies
yeah,
on it, signal thingies on it.
It's the fourth column on the top.
Is it in there? Oh, it's here. Right. It's displayed even here. Right. So like that's just I'm not sure what that is, but I think it's creative. I'm not sure how to use that yet. Like the radiation of the sun,
Something to
maybe,
do
but-
with solar panels, probably. I don't
Oh
know.
well, it could be. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So nevertheless, I think the MDI icons are great. For this release, however, it will bring in breaking changes as well because some icons have been removed. I think they're been removing specific brand icons for a long time now, and they have renamed a bunch. Those will still all work and throw a warning in the logs. So I think for this release and next release, Bram, everything is still normal, right? So everything will keep working. Don't worry. And in the breaking changes section of the release notes, of course, there's a list of all the icons that have been renamed or removed, so you can figure out what's affecting you, right?
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, I love it. Really useful. I always think the dashboards, if you make it in Lovelace, the icons just like, I don't know, just makes it instantly recognizable what it is.
Wait, do we have the icon picker yet?
There's a PR open for it.
Surprise for next month.
Shit.
Someone opened the PR. It wasn't me.
No. Well, could be helpful. ESP Home.
Yes. So Otto Winter, he's the founder of ESP Home. And in case you missed it, earlier this year, we have acquired ESP Home from Otto because Otto didn't have the time to work on it anymore. But Otto was on summer break from university. And so Otto joined Nabukasa this summer. And we paid him to further improve ESP Home, and he worked on various projects. We're actually going to host a live stream with Otto and Jesse in 2 weeks for the release of ESP Home, but already, of course, we're seeing like the work from Otto being available. So this is like one of the cooler things. Well, actually, all the stuff he worked on is really cool, but this one is it's now possible to create encryption, set up an encrypted connection between your ESP Home and your Home Assistant device. So currently, by default, it's not encrypted, and this was a limitation because the ESP8266, which was the initial chipset ESP Home was developed for, wasn't that powerful. So it was really difficult to get encryption going. So it just talks, it talks over socket directly. It's local, it's on your network, but it's not encrypted. And so now with this addition of the noise protocol, and the noise protocol is a protocol developed for a modern VPN standard called WireGuard, or it's the other way around. WireGuard was developed based on noise. Anyway, noise is used in WireGuard, which is the de facto modern standard of VPN software. It's very low CPU, and so it works great on ESP devices. And yeah, so this is now available in both ESP Home because it was added in the ESP Home release 2 weeks ago. And now it's available in Home Assistant. Like these two always kind of move in lockstep. So yeah, this is awesome. If you want to use encryption for your ESP Home, this is the way to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
You do need the latest ESP Home though, and you have to enable it on your ESP Home device. So it's not automatically communicating on encrypted things because you have to set an encryption key. But it's very easy to add. It's like one line. I tried it, and yeah, that's cool. This works. All right. Let me scroll to the right screen. So that's for the big things, right? But we have quite a bit of little things. So is there anything in here you guys want to like highlight?
The gas, we got a lot of requests. So initially we added gas support for cubic meters. And I think that might be a little bit caused by the fact that we're all from the Netherlands and that's how we
Yeah.
measure gas. But Matthias actually did a poll on Twitter. How do you measure your gas? And apparently, a lot of places, gas is measured in kilowatt hours and not in cubic meters. So we have updated Home Assistant, and you can now add all your gas in cubic meters, cubic feet, or kilowatt hours. And actually, I mean, Energy has been getting a bunch of updates in this release. We have added better validation, so it should be better help you know what's wrong. And we see a lot of people struggling with state classes. People are writing templates to kind of extract their data, extract their sensors. So we've added two things. We added a new state class called total. This is a state class. Like initially we had total increasing. Total increasing assumed that your meter was just always increasing. For example, a water meter or an electricity meter in your house, it just only increases. A total meter is a meter that can go both up and down. So, for example, some people will use a CT clamp to measure the electricity, but if you have solar panels, electricity through a CT clamp can run both directions. If you're producing more solar power with your solar panels than that you're consuming from the grid, you're actually flowing, your energy is flowing into the grid instead of you using it from the grid. So, these new total can actually handle this and it can actually measure how much energy did you use and how much energy has been flown back. And so this can be used now as well inside the statistic or in the energy dashboard. And on top of that, Bram and Eric, who have been driving these changes, have also built a statistics Devtools. So previously, if you saw your energy dashboard super big usage for one day, or you get an error, unit of measurement change, you didn't know how to solve it, and people tend, we monitor the Discord and we see what questions keep popping up, and we saw that a lot of times people got redirected to SQL. So like, oh, just run this query, and we're like, oh my god. Like this is like the exact opposite of what we want to achieve with the energy dashboard, right? It has to be super easy. So what we did, or what Bram and Eric did, is that they added a new dev tool. We actually kind of want to get rid of the dev tools, and like it's always ugly, but we added a new one. But I say get rid of, I don't mean like we want to remove them, but revamp them. But yeah, instead we just added one more. And what it does is that it will look at all your statistics in your database. It will compare those with the entities. It will see which entities are not correct, do not have the expected values, and it will tell you this. And then it will offer you a way to solve the various issues that we're finding. You want to give a demo, Bram?
Yeah. So I have a couple of issues here. The first issue is my unit changed. It was it was E first, the unit, and that was stored in statistics, and now it suddenly changed to euros, and now statistic doesn't know what to do because the old values are in a different unit than the new values, and if it would just add the new values, it doesn't know if the old unit was wrong or if the new unit is correct, but the old values cannot be combined with the new values. So you can choose two options. We can either update all the old values to the new unit. So then all the old values are euros, but it just had the wrong unit of measurement. Or you can delete all old statistic data and start over. So if, for example, it was in dollars before, and now you want it to be in euros, yeah, we can't add euros to dollars because it wouldn't match. So then the only option is to delete it all and start over. So you get those two options, and if you click Fix Issue, it will be fixed for you, and statistics will be generated again for this entity.
That's cool.
So now it's gone here, no longer an issue, and it will be somewhere in the list of. Yeah. And for other issues, for instance, this entity has an empty state clause. We can't fix that for you, but you can either report that to the integration maintainer so he can fix it, or if you edit that state clause yourself, you have to fix that yourself. So we just give an explanation of the issue and how you can fix it. So not all issues can just be fixed from the UI, but we at least tell you what the issue is and how to solve it. So we have, I think, 5-6 issues we identify now, and we'll probably add more as we see them come up.
Yeah, and these are different issues than the issues we detect on your energy dashboard. So the energy dashboard also has a set of validation to help you find issues.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Bram.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to talk about templates. So one of the things that we ran into is that, Home Assistant has been, of course, we're 8 years old, right? So things have been added, and we didn't always think through about all the things that are being added. And so one of the things that initially was added to templates was, hey, when we don't get a value, like we don't know what kind of value is coming in, we're just going to say, we're just going to make it 0 if we cannot parse it as a number, for example. But of course, if you're doing calculations, you want to know if it was actually 0 or that it's like, if it could not be parsed, right? So if it could not be parsed, you want it to blow up. Now, we want to move to this world where we are going to your template is going to blow up unless you specify a default value. We're not there yet today because obviously we cannot just make this change like this. So in this release, what we're doing is that if you use, for example, you're casting a state, I want to make this as a number, a float, and the state is not a valid number, now it will issue a warning saying this will be an error in the future. And so you can find your issues. And if you want to work around it, the correct solution is to add default. So I want to just quickly show. So if you look at line 1 and 2, these are 2 ways to convert a string into a number. And then you can calculate with it, right? So for example, this one you could do +1, which will be an issue. But if you would have the second one, if you parse that to a float and then do +1, it becomes 1. And that's very unexpected because, hey, the value was A. That shouldn't become 0. So the right and correct solution is to pass a default. So then you can choose if you wanted to either error out because the value couldn't be parsed, or you say, I want it to be 0, and then this sum can continue. So if I add this default here, then it becomes -4 because it couldn't parse A. It became -5. Oh, one second, I need to sneeze. Oh, not okay. Yeah, so that's templates, that's default. So you will be able to get some warnings in your logs if you see it. This is the trick. Add the default equals thing to it and then fix your stuff. Frank, you're on mute.
That's not so handy. So yeah, in general, we've been changing templates quite a bit lately, right? We had more of these little changes in the past. This one is kind of expecting some people to run into, if you have huge templates, you're guaranteed to have warnings because of these changes. They can be annoying if you see that, but fixing it will make it better because we're now just making things more explicit, and you won't be surprised anymore later on by something that behaves differently than you expected. So that's kind of the main goal and theme here, making things more robust and behave more expected like you typed it and made it. Or else just blow up and make a decent warning message, and then you can do something about it. That's something that's too, right? Before it would not say anything and will just behave weird. Now it will blow up and tell you why. I think that's a great improvement. So happy to see this happening, although I have to update some templates.
Right. Well, I hope with these examples, I also made sure these are in the breaking change section, that it will be Easy. I wonder if the warning includes we should include a link in the warning to a more info page that has some better examples. I
That's a
think that
good
will
idea.
help people. Eric, if you're listening, let's do that.
Eric made this change. He did a good job, though. I
Yeah.
love that. And if we're in this template section, by the way, Eric also added a new template method called, now I'm thinking, I don't see it. So I think it's isNumber, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, isNumber. So we have a new template method or function, and it can also be used as a filler with a pipe sign, which is isNumber, which you can actually use to test if your value is actually a number or not.
Yeah, I added it in
Right.
the middle. Let me just put it at the top so it's easier to see. Yeah, is number A is false. So you pass it in a string, but it will tell you if that string can be parsed to be a valid number.
Yeah. So that can be pretty useful too. So that's a new method function slash I don't know what's and filter.
But
That
it
is
also
fill.
supports scientific notation, as you can see.
Yes.
Is
But
it
if you
like
go-
the JavaScript parse? If there's a letter in it, it just ignores it, or is it
Yeah,
more
the
strict?
JavaScript parts, once it sees a letter, it ignores the rest of that string. And so it's like, it's wild.
Really? Cool. Sounds useful.
Yeah, some things in JavaScript are really nice.
Every language has its ups and downs, right? Pros and cons.
Well, the one thing I like about the web and JavaScript is that they take backwards compatibility very, very serious, right? They will not introduce changes that will break parts of the web. Like, sure, browsers are slow in adapting those standards and stuff, but if generally, it will not be like they will not break the web. And like to give like an extreme example, 10 or 15 years ago, there was a Tools, was a JavaScript framework, which added methods to the array prototype, which is the array class. It actually mutated JavaScript objects. And so when they want to add that method to the standard of JavaScript, they had to pick a different name because they couldn't break every Tools website that is still online today. Which, I mean, that's very awesome. All right. Let's put the release notes. Shelly got a cool upgrade. Shelly introduced a new set of devices.
You
Look,
got one there,
I
right?
got one here because I was testing them. This I don't have autofocus, but these are like the plus range of devices. So they are based on ESP32 instead of ESP8266. And they have a new local protocol. It's the second generation, and it works. The first generation used to work with UDP packets, and those tend to get lost on like certain router configurations, and so that was always annoying. So this new setup is use a WebSocket. So Home Assistant opens a WebSocket connection to the Shelly device, and we get events sent over it as they happen. So the old one was local push, this one was local push, but it's more reliable, and it works. As in, like I have my device. This is how I was testing the Shelly stuff, but like I just get a Shelly. This is like a Shelly 4 Pro. It has like 4 relays in one, but I just connect it to a socket, and then I just like hack on it. But yeah, it's really cool. So this is Shay Levy has been working hard on this. He's also in the chat on YouTube.
Yeah, actually, for this specific thing, he asked me not to call out his name in the release notes for this, and asked to thank the Shelly team because he had a lot of help and a lot of people worked on it. So, yeah, a lot of people worked on that, and that's kind of nice to see. And it's cool it landed that the next generation is available since a couple of weeks now, so it's pretty
Yeah.
fast that it landed in Home System
Yeah,
as
so
well,
the
right?
old Shelly devices will stay on the version 1 of the API, which still is supported because the ESP8266 is not powerful enough to support the WebSockets on top of all the other protocols that they cannot just take away. So, yeah.
Definitely. So what I like is if you're into HomeKit, like the select and the input select entities will now appear in HomeKit as well, or you can put them in HomeKit. So that's kind of nice to see. Nice contribution. You can control them via your Siri as well in that case. So
Yeah, well, yes and no, right? Like I have the HomeKit set up and I have my garage door open, my garage door in it. But of course, you need to be on your local Wi-Fi so it can control your garage door. Otherwise, you need to buy like a HomePod or have like an Apple TV, I think,
Apple
to
TV
have.
or iPad. iPad also works, right?
Well, you can configure your iPad to become like a home hub,
Yeah.
but it will take more battery.
Okay.
but you can get like one of those old Apple TV 3s. I think
I have one laying around. Do you want it?
yeah, well, that's you can get those pretty cheap now, especially like secondhand, and they will actually do that. So you only have to power them up and connect them to Wi-Fi and let them
Yeah.
just be
Ethernet.
or Ethernet. That's even better, right? Yeah.
So yeah, no, I do not have. I don't want to have the HomePod like the HomePod Mini. Like it's a mini. I mean, $100. Like it's just a lot of money, and then you get Siri. Like Siri is like the worst. Oh well, it doesn't have ads. Like okay, so maybe it's not the very worst. I personally am not a big fan of Amazon. Just you get like ads and it doesn't do sounds of trucks. Like my son is really into trucks, and if you say what's the sound of a fire truck, or like I asked for the sound of a dog, and it launched me into like an Amazon dog skill where like Google will be like, oh, do you want to hear a pig next or a cat next? It's just a better experience for me.
Yeah, that's
But
true. There's one situation where I like Siri more than all the others, which is simply because I have an Apple Watch, so I wear it on my wrist everywhere I am, and it just always like it's always there, right? You don't have to shout somewhere. Doesn't matter where I am, even if I'm just outside or something, like it works. So that's the part where I like Siri, and that's why I have it like complementary to my home. I think that's the powerful thing about Siri for me, at least. The
right.
watch.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
should use it
the Verge
more
just
often.
said the Verge just wrote an article that they like the Siri the most because it's because Google has these false positives because Google supports so many questions that a lot of times it will be like, oh yeah, I'll tell you the 5 places that are called light on in the neighborhood or something. It's like
Yeah,
no,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I
That
agree.
was when my wife tried to turn on the robot vacuum. It would always play a song from the jeugd van tegenwoordig. you know that song. It would always start that song.
yeah. I was having a discussion with somebody on Twitter, and I was like, and that person actually preferred Amazon because Amazon just put Alexa in every form and shape that you can think of, including Astro, that robot now, right? And they are just launching a 15-inch picture frame with an Amazon Echo on it.
Don't forget
But
the Disney stuff that's coming.
yeah, but isn't the Disney stuff only for the Disney theme parks, hotels?
No, I don't think so. Could
Like,
be.
hey, Mickey, when does the whatever open or whatever? I don't know what the hot word is.
I would like to have Donald Duck talk to me back. That would be cool,
It
right?
does look very
Oh, that's
cool. I
cool.
like that they make it look like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
But
I
if
think
it's Donald Duck, you can't understand him, at least.
well, that makes it probably easy for them to make, right? But I don't know. I think it's kind of cool to have like one of the Disney figures to have that as text to speech or something, or at least have it respond to me. I don't know. It's something weird, or maybe like Disney owns the Star Wars catalog as well, right? So yeah,
Sure.
yeah, indeed. Like turn on your lights. I don't know. Something. I don't know. But it sounds cool that they're like, that's the thing I like about Alexa. At this point, they're actually exploring more of these things, which
Right.
Google.
But they also sometimes explore in the wrong direction, where they have this ring drone that will fly through your house and stuff. I mean, until now it's vaporware, right? It was announced last
Yeah.
year. It actually hasn't shipped, but like, it's just some of those. All the surveillance stuff is always like, I don't know about that.
True.
Cool. Want to go back to the release notes?
I don't know. Is there more to report? Yeah, there's a lot of little stuff still in there, but this number we had. Oh, SwitchBot had quite a bit of love, and TP-Link as well. Those two integrations had a lot of love this release. Config flows, new platforms, all kind of modernization, new libraries changed, and a lot of code optimization. So those two integrations had a lot of love, which is kind of nice. SwitchBot and TP-Link. So there's that.
Yeah. That's actually, oh, I'm just thinking of the next section. The things we removed. I think the new integrations, actually the one that I think is cool for the new integrations is the Ember Electric. Ember Electric, they reach out to us because of the energy management stuff. They're Australian-based electricity company, and it works a bit like also Tibber in Europe, where you pay a membership fee and then you pay wholesale prices, which, by the way, funnily enough, is horrible right now if you're in Europe, right? But generally, it would have been nice. But yeah, so Ember Electric actually now, so they can actually offer their customers saying, get Home Assistant, and you get real-time electricity data. And if you're in a spike and surge and all that stuff, control your home based on all your electricity providers' information. So it's really cool. And then we're working with Ember Electric as a kind of the pilot, but we're looking into importing historical data. So electricity providers are generally known to not have your latest data. So I think the best case Ember Electric could do it, they say, was 2 hours delayed. Generally, they only get like around midnight the stuff from like the previous day or something like this. So yeah, we're working with them on seeing if we can import historical data so that your current energy dashboard is not up to date, but you can still gain insight by looking at like older information. So that's not something that was ready for this release, but we're still working on it.
Yep. All right. And we have a lot of breaking changes, a lot of integrations again to the UI. I love that move, by the way. Hope that continues.
Right.
Actually, I see a typo in Netgear now, so we'll fix that later.
Netgear.
It's very neat
Nice
stuff.
name.
Very
Yeah.
neat stuff.
You know, Netgear was one of the first integrations we had in Home Assistant before it was called integrations, because I had a Netgear router.
Oh.
So, you know.
Well, then the breaking changes, the templates, the NDI icons are here. You want to check that out, by the way. You always want to check out the breaking changes.
What broke with the moon? Can you go back to the moon?
Yeah,
The moon
it's
was
something.
wrong.
The
It
moon
didn't
was
break.
wrong.
It was fixed.
They fixed the moon. They flew to it
They
with
fixed the moon.
SpaceX, and they fixed it. No, so there was one phase that wouldn't pop up in some cases, which now has been fixed. So the state is correct now. It only appeared in some parts of the world. If you had some locations in the world, some phase would not pop up or something, and that has been corrected. So
that reminds me of this time that like this Norwegian person opened a bug report because the sun wouldn't rise in the winter, and our system couldn't handle that. Like we just assumed there's always within 24 hours the sun will rise again. Yeah.
So removed is tracker, no API anymore. Like they've stopped using their apps apparently. Like their Android and iOS apps are gone. So yeah, then they removed the API because they didn't need it anymore.
Right.
Which means we can no longer talk to an API. So the integration is useless.
Wait, they removed their apps? Then what?
Yeah, that's a new strategy for companies, I guess. No, I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah,
so what can you do then with those things?
I know.
Is it Okay.
I mean, isn't the company just out of business, or what's the?
No, I'm on their website now. We regret to inform you that Tracker will no longer be supported on Apple and Android devices after August 15th. We want to thank you for your trust and support.
Oh, there you go.
That's really weird.
Yeah. So that's why the API is gone, which is, well, I don't know.
So this is kind of like a tile, right? Like to not lose your stuff.
Yeah.
But then
Something
how
like
do you find it?
Good question. They still sell them, but I don't know.
Yeah, they still also have like an Apple and Android logo. But
Yeah, they
Well,
also have
yeah.
download the app buttons. I don't know. Maybe they're just out of business, and this is
yeah,
a
I
weird
think
way to tell it.
So somebody in the chat actually writes, he thinks it's related between a lawsuit between them and Tile and Apple. Could be, I don't know if it's true or not, but sounds kind of plausible. I could imagine they have a fight with Tile. Like it's kind of the same thing, right?
yeah,
But yeah,
maybe.
I don't know.
And then Tesla has been removed. So this is very sad.
Yeah.
And the reason Tesla has been removed is that we have been playing a cat and mouse game with the Tesla security team where they kept making it more and more difficult for us to offer a login to get like an authentication token to talk to the APIs. And it kind of got to this point now where the best approach, and this is Tesla is still available as a custom component, and they offer this approach, is that you have to download a third-party iOS or Android app that will guide you through the steps and give you the token that you can then enter in the Tesla custom component. So Tesla is not gone. You can still use the custom component, but that relying on a third-party iOS or Android app is not something that we can have inside Home Assistant. That is just because that's not something where we can guarantee the quality, guarantee the experience. And so, yeah, you want to use Tesla, use the custom component. It's actually by the same author as the built-in integration was, Alan Tse. So it's, it's the same code, it's the same people. It's just outside of Home Assistant because of the way authentication works.
But I really don't get. If you look at Tesla, it's like the most like technology company. Like it's like the technology is like insanely innovative and they do like so many awesome things and they don't deliver like a API that can be used or integrated with. It just not computes in my mind. I really don't get it. I think it's a I like their products. I like what SpaceX is doing and all that stuff, but this is just that I yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also weird because if you look at like the mission statement of Tesla is to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, right?
Right.
So like hooking into your home automation is pretty much like important, right? Like you can whatever you start driving home or all these things. But I think one of the parts is that they move very fast and they're constantly breaking stuff and like I don't know always if they care a lot about the maintenance of the stuff, right? They just keep putting out new stuff. So I think that maybe they're just not capable of providing an API. But I mean, their apps use an API. So to an extent, it is possible. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's also weird in that like you buy a Tesla and you don't pay for the cloud, right? It's just there. So I mean,
Yeah,
who's
that's
paying
true.
for it? But I would love if they would just say, hey, just pay us like whatever, $20 a year and you can have your car API.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so it's too bad Tesla had to go, but we had no choice, basically. Yeah, and we did tweet at Elon Musk to be like, hey, can you fix this? It was actually, I think, our most liked tweet ever with like over 700 likes
Yeah.
for what it's worth. But yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
Too bad.
Yeah.
All right. I think that
Wow.
sums up the release notes, right? And the Tuya
2 hours.
stuff.
Yeah.
Anything hot and new? Like for you guys, do you have something cool and new or something you'd like to share besides the release notes and the cool Tuya stuff? And
No, my life's boring.
Well, I've missed a couple of weeks, right? So like writing these release notes was
Right.
pretty darn hard because I had to read up quite a bit to understand what happened here, right? So I think I looked at a record of PRs to actually understand what changed. But yeah,
Oh, I think
well,
one last thing that somebody asked us on Twitter: will there be a Home Assistant conference this year?
oh,
And the answer is no. Basically, it takes a lot of work to release a conference, and we've been super busy this year. We've built a lot, we shipped a lot. Like there's like cool features dropping nonstop, and it's just basically we cannot add more work to our plate right now. So we'll definitely have a State of the Union. So we'll definitely like kind of like a release party, but just more do also more reflection as we always do, and more looking forward as well. Um, but we're not gonna like the problem is with the conference is that like last time we had to go through all the talk proposals. We did technology tests with all the people. We had to make sure that everything was like running smoothly. And basically, last year we kind of burned ourselves out. Like after that conference, I think that like no one of us was on Discord for like 2 weeks or something.
nope,
So it's not.
that was really too much.
Yeah. So we're not doing it this year. We're just gonna just do a State of the Union, and well, we don't know if it's gonna be in person and then live streamed or how we're gonna do it. We don't have any plans right now. So if we go the way we're doing right now, it will very likely be online, which is fine. I think you know. I also don't know sure yet if I'll be in Europe or be here in California. So these things change.
Can I like I see quite a few people watching, right? So I'm going to like use this as like a form question. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Right. So I'm like replacing my fireplace. So I still have like an open fireplace, like old school, and it's being replaced by I don't know how you call one of those units that is being built in. So that's quite a dramatic change in my home. But I would like to know, it's not electric, it's still wood fire. So I would like to know if there's a possibility for me to detect if there's actually a fire burning without like hanging I don't know how many wires through the home, just like maybe from remote or something. I'm not sure if there's something that I can see if the fireplace is on, because I could use that to like change the way my home heats. It's
A
just
heat
a
camera.
thing. Yeah, something like that maybe. But I don't know if there's like a sensor for it, or it could do with ESP
You
Home.
want
So
something
if
that
Can't
doesn't
you
any,
do it
melt.
with a temperature sensor? So some a probe you use for your oven or something?
A barbecue meat sensor.
on Bluetooth and put it in your fireplace. I don't know. I don't know if such a thing exists or what components I would need in that case, or it can be ESP home based or something. So if anybody has done something like that before, or knows how to do that, or has some hints, please let me know, like in the YouTube comments here, maybe down below, or well, and if you're at it, by the way, for everybody, hit the thumbs up right there down below here, and the subscribe and the bell,
Oh
and
yes.
leave a comment on how to do that, right? And that would be great. I'm looking for something like that.
Right.
Oh,
All right. I guess that wraps it up for today.
yeah.
If you are interested in watching more stuff from us, in 2 weeks, I will be back with Otto Winter, founder of ESP Home, and Jesse Hills, the core maintainer for ESP Home. And we're going to talk all the cool stuff that came to ESP Home over the summer. And yeah, basically that and more stuff. So that will be in 2 weeks, as you know, the Home Assistant and ESP Home release cycle are 2 weeks apart. Definitely check it out. We'll throw out an announcement later this week or something. I don't know, maybe next week. Yeah, and like Frank said, like, subscribe, follow, hit that bell, turn on analytics, update to the latest Home Assistant version.
Everywhere, right?
Tell all your friends about how cool Home Assistant is. Cheers.
Yeah. Bye bye.
I have to
Bye.
click on the end
Find the
broadcast.
button, right?
Yeah.